Alright, the first step to clean this little guy, I usually clean this out first. Now if there's trash in there, you want to dump that out. You can open this up, take a look inside here. You're going to see there's two filters. They just pop off like this. Go. That's it. That's much cleaner now. I'm gonna do the other one outside. But yeah, at least to show you guys, once again, a little side by side. I don't know if the video is picking that up. Hopefully it does. Go. Alright, now a couple other things I'd like to do. Use a little water. Now not a lot.
Yeah.
They do warn you not to get the Roomba wet. So try not to hit the sensors and stuff, but I do find to get a lot of this caked on dust, I do like to kind of wipe it down with a little bit of moisture here. Cleans up much better. Alright, so I cleaned this out pretty good. I just used a wet paper towel. As you can see, it's pretty clean. Now there's a couple places you can't really get with a paper towel, like inside these little areas, that's where the vent goes through. There's also this vent in the back here. But I do like to kind of hit this, kind of blast through. You'll see there's some dust in there coming out. I clean this regularly, so there's not usually a lot of dust. But it's definitely the easiest way to get in there, because I don't know, I'm assuming the only other way would be getting a screwdriver out and disassembling this. There it is. Alright, the next step, I really just kind of dust off the whole unit itself. Kind of get inside behind a few of these things, make sure there's no dust buildup inside here. There usually is some dust. Give it a little bit of moist wipe down. Now there's a sensor in the front you got to be very careful with. I don't know if it's glass or some form of clear plastic, but you want to make sure that's clean. But you also don't want to get it completely soaking wet. It does seem to be sealed pretty good. I kind of give it all, and remember, this is just damp. Don't pour water on this. It tells you specifically not to get this unit wet. So I'm kind of running a risk every time I do this, kind of getting it a little moist. But as you can see, I've only put enough on it that it literally dries up almost instantly after I rub it down. But it really does help pick up a little bit more of the dirt. Now the next step, when you flip it over and start getting underneath it, it's important to just be mindful of this. You shouldn't flip it over and lay it down right on this. That's too much pressure on that sensor, and it is kind of heavy unit. So you flip it over, and I'll show you what I do, but I put it on the side of the table so that this hangs off the side of the table, and it's really putting the pressure on this part. So I just flip it over like this, and this is where the real fun begins. So as you can see, this is hanging over the side of the table, and this is laying completely flat. Alright, now that it's flipped over, the first thing I like to do, I like to pull this thing right out. You just kind of grab it, pull it out. Now there is some filth in here. I'm just going to use, once again, a little air blaster. Alright, now to clean this little guy here. There's some filth stuck in here. I'll pull that out. It's pretty dirty. First thing really though is just get the wheel out. You just press on it. It's easy to do if you push down here and push with your thumbs. So you just kind of press it like this and it will pop out. Maybe I'll do it with my, there you go. Okay, so it's out now. This needs some cleaning. This thing is absolutely filthy. So look, ugh, nasty piece of hair and dust, both sides. Get that all off there, all caked on there. And then you can pull this little rod out of here. There's usually some hair stuck in this rod. And there we go. And now I actually, once I clean this off, I usually actually use this to clean the inside too. Alright. If this gets a little tricky to clean, there's a couple ways you can do it. But I do find these little pruning shears can work pretty well. So you can kind of get underneath with them. Once you get underneath, it just kind of cuts them. I'm sure a multi-tool or any little blade would work just fine. Once you really get it started and loosened up, you can kind of just pull them off by hand. Nope, almost all gone, as you can see. And done. No hairs on it anymore. Make sure there's nothing left on here. Alright, so that's pretty clean now. So what I'm going to do now is actually use this to clean out the filth that's still left inside here. As you can see. Let's see if I can get that right in the camera there. Yeah, anyways, you guys can see it. So what I do is I just poke through this like this. Oh, look at that. Look at that. How satisfying is that? There it is. And now, all this filth being through like that, watch this. I hold this, and this is what you want. Look at that. Freely spins, easily. No tension at all in there. It actually, if you notice, it'll fall right through. You put it in here, falls right through. So that's what you want to see. Just a second ago, it wasn't even spinning. Alright, so now that I got that cleaned, now just clean the little base piece. A little bit of moist towel here. Give it a little wipe down. Wipe down inside. This thing doesn't usually require much cleaning at all. There is another rod here that goes inside. Very rarely is that ever dirty. And that's pretty much it. You snap this guy back in. No secret on snapping it in. You do just got to use a little bit of force here. Place it in here. Once it's in, you push down on it. And that's it. It snaps in. Freely spins. And this is going to be pivoting on this. So just make sure the unit is nice and clean in here. There is a sensor in here. You don't want to get soaking wet either. But you do want to make sure it's free of obstruction. That sensor actually will tell when the wheel's spinning. And you just put this back in here. There it is. Done. Okay, next step. I'm going to take this little guy off. Now, you don't have to do this every time, but I let mine get pretty filthy. So it's time to do mine for sure. If you see hairs all sticking out, you should do it. This is the only thing that actually requires a screwdriver in this whole process. Just this one little teeny screw here. It is a Phillips head, and it's a small Phillips head. Not super small, not like an eyeglasses one, but kind of in between that and a number 2. Alright, now I'm just pulling this off. This hair all around it. It spins so much it catches hair and even thread. So you can see this thing is pretty filthy. And if it's hard to pull this off, this is where I use these pruning shears. You know, it works great at getting hair off of things. I know it comes with a tool. I'll show you this other tool it comes with. It comes with this tool that basically you can try to get underneath hair, and then it slices it. And that works all right. I find that the shears though work better. And since I have some, that's what I use. But you can definitely use this tool with a, a little bit more effort. So yeah, looks kind of dirty, but it's still completely functional. I replaced these a couple times, and then I realized you don't really need to replace these. I mean, as long as these bristles are still intact, I mean, that's all it's really doing is just spinning. You know, these used to be bright white, and now they're kind of dirty, but they're fine. They work just fine. And that's it. That's all you got to do. You know, just make sure around here looks clean. I don't have any hair stuck on this. None at all, actually. They all kind of got stuck to this when I pulled it off. So I just put this back on and get the screwdriver. Try not to lose the screw. And that's it. The end of this one. That takes 2 seconds, so that's clean. Now for the fun part. Alright, the last step is cleaning these big bristles out of here. So you push these little buttons, this thing should flip up like that. Be careful when you pull this out, it is going to be filthy. And I have a little rag over here that I'm collecting filth on. It's off camera, but I'm pulling the filth off of both ends. There's just filth caked onto both of these ends here. And I'm just kind of throwing it onto this other towel I have over here. Now this is not what it should look like. This is like, you know, I know people are probably going to wonder if I have Chewbacca living with me. Someone in my house has long blonde hair, and this is the result. Okay, now the one thing left for disassembly is to pull this little end piece off. And as you can see, this is just hair. And cutting through it, there's a few ways. Now this is the tool that it comes with. I can show you how that works. It does work pretty decent for this step here, where you just kind of pull it through and it cuts with a little razor blade in it. It's a little bit of work, but it works. Well, now that I say it works, it's not gonna, oh, there we go. There must be something thick stuck inside here. Alright, here we go. Now, I will say, these do work better, but you gotta be careful not to cut the bristles. That does not, the other tool it came with doesn't seem to cut the bristles, but if you just kind of slide it along, you can see it cuts right through there like a warm knife through butter. You know, just do this and just kind of slide it through. You don't even have to, like, you know, actually pinch it. You just kind of use it to like slice through. And once you get a lot of the hair cut, you can only, you know, you can cut both ends if you want. You know, you can cut this side and the other side. There's so much hair, I'm probably gonna have to do that. If you don't have a lot of hair on it, then you probably can get away with just this and then using this tool to pull it off, which is kind of fun. But there's so much hair on this, I have to probably start using this. Alright. Alright, I'm definitely having to cut through it a little. That's alright. If you pull it up high enough, you know you're not cutting bristles. There you go. And that's probably about all I need to do. Let me just make sure the end is good. Because if it gets hung up at this end, it's a pain, because then you have to like back it off. Alright, so that's about it. So now, this is where this piece comes in, and you just put it on the end and try to get it all the way through. It's probably not going to work, but let's see. Isn't that cool though? Alright. That's about all as far as I can make it right now. Let me see if I can actually pull some of this off. There we go. Okay. Now, here we go again. Here we go. And there, that's how it should work if there wasn't a ton of hair on it. And that's it. That's what we got here. So I might do this a couple more times. And then really, I use the pruning shears to really get any remaining last pieces. But yeah, that's pretty much what we can do with this tool. It is nice because it does make it a lot quicker. I can't imagine trying to prune off every individual hair. This does a good job being pretty quick with it. The harder parts now is at the very ends, trying to get all this hair off. And this is where I use the pruning shears a bit, because the ends really get kind of stuck on here. And honestly, that's probably the main places that you could end up getting it stuck and the bristle not working right would be on the very ends, because that's where it's supposed to spin. That actually came out pretty easily, but I don't want to jinx myself because this side might be worse. But it doesn't look worse. This side actually looks pretty clean right now. Yeah, alright. There's actually not a lot of hair on this. So yeah, that's pretty much done. I don't even know if I really need to use the shears much anymore. I'm looking at this and I don't see a lot of extra hairs. I just see little clumps of dust here and there. That's about it. Maybe I'll give it a couple sprays, but okay. And the last one of these dowels is sitting inside there. Let me just give this a little wipe down real quick with a damp rag, or a paper towel or napkin or whatever you have. Remember, just a little bit damp, not soaking wet. Looking clean. Put that back on the end. And similarly, this guy has a bunch of filth on the end. Take that and just throw it onto a pile of filth I have been making on this side here. Now it's time to cut some of this stuff off. Alright, now I'm gonna pull off the end here, get this guy ready to go. This shears works great. Here we go, here we go, here we go. The other trick I do is I kind of put this tool in it and spin it around this way, and it really seems to get right underneath. That really helps. See that? Kind of spinning it, and eventually it starts all just kind of coming all off as like a big piece. There we go, big piece. Put a little bit of water on a damp cloth, kind of get the rest of this filth off here, and this will make it look good as new. Well, okay, now that all that's clean, last step, I'm gonna do a little vacuuming on here. And then a little compressed air to blow some filth around. This can be pretty dirty in here. I have the windows open and I'm holding my breath. And now, one last step of wet paper towel. Now there's sensors all around it. You want to make sure it's clean, but you also don't want to get too wet. Now one area that I generally kind of get pretty wet is inside here. It gets really dirty in there, but since that's so filthy, I'll do that at the end. There's little sensors around the outside. Get these guys all around here. Alright, let's see. Now the last thing, like I said, getting in here. This is pretty filthy, and I kind of scrubbed this pretty good. As you can see, that filth is really coming off. That looks pretty clean. Alright, so that's about it. Slap this thing back together, open this little door back up, put these little guys in here. 1, 2, before you put this on, you got to get these guys in here. Line up the squares on this side. You line up the square, and then you just kind of angle this down on it. Same thing on this. Little square on this side. You put the square side in first and line it up. It's not lined up. Now it's lined up. Okay. And then close it. There you go. Gotta slide this thing in here, but I'll flip it over first. Look at this. Looks like new. And here it is. Finish. Complete. Adios. That's the end. Well, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, bell icon, whatever. If it's on Rumble, Rumble it or something. I don't know what it is, but whatever. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you guys learn some tricks that make your life a little easier. Alright, thanks.